Hey everybody, I am so very sorry. So I spoke for a good 20 minutes um on the last live and it did not record any sound whatsoever. So now I know why people were popping on then popping off. So I apologize. Seems like I've been having a lot of technical issues with my software and things which I don't understand why that is happening. So that's just some back end things I need to work on. Um so let me get into this before something else happens. So we are talking about Bianca Ellis and Julian Wood. And you're gonna be like, okay, Rebecca, who are these people? So Bianca Ellis is a 30-something-year-old black woman out of Cleveland, Ohio, that had a mental health crisis and stabbed a Margot Wood, the mother of Julian Wood. And Julian Wood is a 3-year-old toddler that she stabbed to death. So that is what we're talking about today. And this is Julian Wood. Look at that goofy grin. So let's talk about this case because this goes back to what I said a few days ago about what the hell is going on in Cleveland, because we've got this case, you've got the case of Amory Jones, who is the autistic 5-year-old that was lured to a field by an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 10-year-old and sexually assaulted and beaten almost to death. That happened last month. Kamani Latigue, that whole mess out of Cleveland where her father lured her to a house and assaulted her, killed her, murdered her, and then went on the run and they had a shootout with police in Columbus. So much is going on up there. It's weird. I don't understand it. I'm from Ohio and I don't understand this. But let's talk about this case because why it's coming up now for me to talk about it. This happened a year ago and is now the trial of Bianca Ellis is now happening as we speak in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, in their courtroom. So we're going to talk about a few things. So Bianca Ellis, let's see here, was born around 1991, making her about 33 years old in 2024. Um, she does have some periods of homelessness and involvement with low wage or informal work, but she does live a transient lifestyle, meaning um, lots of mental health crises, no stable living environment, not completely compliant on her medication. Listen to me, medication. So in pre 2024, early 2024, she had had at least 3 active warrants for assault in Cuyahoga County, which is the county that houses Cleveland. And know a lot of details on that, but she had a mental health crisis in February of 2024, where she walked into a Cleveland police station from a homeless shelter, confessing to murdering someone in Bakersfield, California. They got a hold of Bakersfield police. They said they were known, they knew of her, but they had no idea whether or not she actually was tied to any cases. So, in May of 2024, May 30th to be exact, she was arrested for shoplifting at a Walmart in Cleveland. Now, this is the episode prior to what she ended up doing and being charged with murder. So, her mental health diagnosis, as noted in the court evaluations, include schizophrenia like symptoms. So, they're not saying she's schizophrenic, but she is schizophrenia like. So, on June 3rd, 2024, at approximately 3 p.m., and actually, before I start reading this, let me show you the video.
Afternoon. She's pushing her own wheelchair with a suitcase. Police say she was
That is
there
Bianca
in
Ellis.
connection with her arrest the week before.
You got anything on you at all?
Ellis had a warrant for her arrest tied to a previous theft conviction. Police arrested her and then let her go. 4 days later, Ellis is seen going to the Volunteers of America thrift store, where police say she stole 2 knives, then briefly stopped in bins and things before walking into Giant Eagle. At 2:58, she walks past the
Now you see, right there, I don't know, you see my little arrow. Right there, is her highlighted, and she's walking around the store with a butcher knife, just walking around without a care in the world, swinging a butcher, at her side, kinda, doing that. So keep watching.
The service desk with the knife waving by her side, and no one appears to see it. Then we see her walking near the cash registers. Again, no one appears to see or react to the knife. She then passes Margot Wood and her 3
Now this is unbelievable. You see, this little blurb right here, that is Margot Wood with her son, and there's Bionca Ellis. So this is amazing to see her behavior right here.
year old son Julian. Ellis immediately turns around and starts to follow them. Cameras show just before 3 p.m., Ellis walked into the lobby and follows behind the mother and son as they exit the store. Cameras then show her following them through the parking lot and to their car.
Somewhere near their vehicle, Miss Ellis then attacked the two of them.
Okay. So this, the police are saying, was an unprovoked attack. There's no history of Margot Ellis or Julian. I'm sorry, Margot Wood or Julian Wood having any history with Bionca Ellis. Like they've never met her before, never seen her before, nothing like that. So for her to turn around and go after them like that, random but scary as all hell. So she stole the knives. She goes into the store. She hones in on Margot Wood and Julian Wood, follows them out to the parking lot, and attacks them. She stabs Margot. She stabs Julian multiple times in the chest and neck. Um, and Margot tried to block, but it was too late. He was already severely injured. So Julian succumbed to his injuries at a nearby hospital shortly after his mother Margot survived after surgery. And then Bionca Ellis, fled on foot but was apprehended minutes later on Dover Center Road, still carrying one of the knives. Now, what gets me is you saw in the video, she's just walking through with the knife at her side, just kind of swinging it away. I don't know how nobody noticed this. I mean, I would like to say I would think I would notice somebody doing that, but who knows? Now, this case has really brought up a lot of controversy because you've got somebody who's been unhoused, unmedicated, unsupervised, and has now had multiple run-ins with the law, has been let out on her own recognizance, and has now, due to a mental health crisis because she was not housed or supervised, has murdered someone. She murdered this adorable child. This is the result of people not getting the services they desperately, desperately need. This child is dead because of that. So on June 5th, she was indicted on 10 felony counts. So aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, attempted murder, 2 counts, felonious assault, 2 counts, endangering children, 1 count, tampering with evidence, 1 count, and aggravated theft, 1 count. That's for stealing the knives. So right now, her case is in the courts, and they are hearing it every day. So they've already had 14 witnesses testify in court over the last couple of days, and his mother, Margot Wood, was on the stand, and I heard her testimony, and the woman is beside herself. Um, I cannot imagine witnessing that and doing everything you can, and you fail protecting your child. I could not even imagine her going through all that and doing all that. At the end result, your child is gone. And I said this before in the previous live, but nobody could hear me because the volume was muted. But my late husband had an aunt who was a paranoid schizophrenic, and she had been declared mentally insane at the age of 17. And it was, the families took care of her, but she was involved with the state. So, as Antoine put it, my aunt's got papers, you know. And he did tell me there were stories, and I had been around her while he was alive over the years. And he told me a story that once when he was about 7 years old, he and his mom got into it with her, and she was having an episode, and she grabbed knives and just started throwing knives, you know. She could get very, very violent. I couldn't tell you how many times he got called over to his aunt's apartment by his grandmother and his mom to help deal with her because she was just so violent when she was having these episodic violent episodes because she was schizophrenic. So, and she was another one that liked to burn things down. So, you know, but the family would never have her committed. And she was somebody who definitely needed to be committed because she would not be compliant on her medication and she would be aggressively violent. So the same thing with Bionca Ellis. She is somebody who was never being able, I don't know if she refused to be compliant on her medication or because of her financial stability and mental instability, just could not be compliant. I don't know. But the question is, they have the death penalty in Ohio. Do you think she qualifies? Do you think her mental instability should keep her from getting the death penalty? Because they've already, according to this, they've already evaluated her. And they said let's see here, after a 20-day inpatient assessment at North Coast Behavioral Healthcare, Ellis was ruled incompetent to stand trial. The evaluating doctor noted multiple mental health disorders, but a substantial probability of restoration with treatment, meaning she could be declared competent with treatment. And then she was ordered to remain at the facility for inpatient care. And that was on September 13th of 2024. November 7th, 2024, so it's almost 2 months later, she appeared via Zoom, showing some improvement, but still under treatment, but no competency restoration was declared at that point. And then on February 11th, she was restored. So it took about, let's see, about 5 months for them to declare her competent to stand trial, that, she'd been stabilized and could understand the proceedings and assist in her defense. And then they had set the trial date for the summer, but, of course, things get pushed back, so they're just now starting the trial. But, that's the question at hand. Does she deserve the death penalty, or does she deserve to be basically locked up in a mental institution for the rest of her life? You tell me. Do you feel the mental health system failed her, on multiple levels? I think it did, you know, um, because I can tell you if you're not compliant on medication, if you're not in therapy, if you're not doing the steps that you need to do, a person can go off the rails so quickly. And that's not a joke. So that's all I wanted to talk about tonight because the mental health care system failed this kid. He is now dead. His family is now mourning his loss. And Bionca Ellis could get the death penalty because of this, and it may or may not have been her fault. I don't know. It's a hard one um, to really figure out, what the best course is. And I feel for the jury trying to figure this out. I really do. So I am gonna hop off here, for the second time. So thank you again for tuning in. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime, and you all have a great evening. And prayers to the family because they are showing the trial on YouTube with different legal channels, but it can be watched, and they are showing it. So watch, don't watch, but pray for the family at least. So good night, everyone. And as I always say, be weird, be rude, be safe, and have a great evening. Bye.